For a youth football coach, it's always a fine line when you're teaching your players, and we're talking about the younger players, 10, 11 years old, just how much you teach them, and that gets involved with technique too. But we want to talk today about just some very simple defensive line technique that we feel like you can teach, 7, 8, 9 year olds if you desire to. And so we've got a copy of our what we call slant, 6-2 slant. We're slanting to the tight end, and we want to point out these two tackles right here, the differences in their technique. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to move this tackle off of the ball right here. And as you can see, they're lined up in a 2-eye, which is inside eye of the guard, all right? And they're slanting to the strong side, but they're actually going right down the middle the way we've got it drawn to the center right here. And the reason we draw it like that is because based on what this center does right here, that is going to dictate what you would teach that defensive tackle to do. So let's say the center, all right, is blocking at that 2-eye. And so if that happens, exactly what is drawn there is going to happen. You should teach that tackle to feel the resistance of that tackle blocking back, all right, and then work, squeeze it, and cross the face. Now, I know a lot of you like to get penetration, and it's great, and it probably is very successful in youth football, but you have to be careful, too, about that if you play somebody that knows what they're doing up front with the offensive line. The more sound way of doing it is to attack, but when they feel that pressure, cross the face of that center. Now, let's back off of here for a second again. If that center blocks away, all right, and that could be a scoop block or could be several things. But if your 2-eye, all right, slants into the center and the center goes away, there's no need to cross that face now. Now that tackle needs to get in the rear, off the rear of the tackle and stay flat down the line of scrimmage and get their eyes in the backfield and look for where the ball's going. The other thing that could be happening here, it could be a block back. That center could be blocking back, which means now that this guard right here could be pulling. All right? If the guard is pulling, all right, then we'll add another line here to show that. If this guard is pulling across the center, then what's going to happen will be the same thing. You don't need to cross that face of that center because the play is probably coming back here to where the puller is. So center away, work upfield off the butt of the center to you, cross the face. Now, that's just one technique if the tackle is lined up in the gap nearest to the person where they're slanting. Now, back over here, just want to point out that this tackle is now in a 2-eye, and they're slanting across the face pretty much regardless. They're going to read this guard right here. If you're this tackle here, you're going to read this guard. If you're this tackle, you're reading the center, as we just talked about. So the point is that now this tackle will probably on the snap always end up crossing the face of this right guard we have in blue here. Okay? Now, if he sees that pull right there, then yes, he should get in the hip pocket of that that guard, and just pull right down the line of scrimmage with him. But the point we're trying to make is that this tackle right here is slanting into this center and reading the center. This tackle right here is slanting across the face of the guard and will continue to read the guard. Just some very simple coaching points that will help your inside people and even your ends end up playing sound football. And if they do that, this will end up taking them to the ball 90% of the time.